At my sister's wedding, I thought I was there to celebrate her happiness, until she grabbed the mic and humiliated me in front of everyone. My parents laughed. Guests whispered. And I froze. But the moment her groom stood up, everything changed. What he revealed turned the entire wedding upside down. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. I walked into my sister Emily's wedding telling myself I could get through one day without feeling like the family disappointment. The venue was beautiful, golden lights, soft music, roses everywhere. People smiled warmly at the bride, but when their eyes shifted to me, their smiles thinned. I pretended not to notice. I'd spent years pretending. I took my seat near the back. Emily had insisted. "It's better for the photos," she'd said. A polite lie, but I didn't argue. I'd learned long ago that arguing never changed anything. My son squeezed my hand. "Mom, you okay?" I forced a smile. "Of course. It's your aunt's big day." Emily walked down the aisle glowing, a perfect centerpiece for a perfect family portrait. Mom cried dramatically. Dad beamed. And I sat there, invisible, just like always. After the ceremony, during the reception, Emily took the microphone for her speech. Guests clapped, expecting heartfelt sisterly love. Instead, her first words were a knife. "I want to thank everyone for being here, even my sister, who somehow found someone to watch her kid long enough to show up." Laughter rippled through the room. My stomach tightened. Then she smirked. "And for those who don't know, my sister is a single mother, unwanted by anyone." The room burst into louder laughter. My breath caught. Heat rushed to my face. My son stared at me, confused and hurt. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just sat there, realizing this wedding wasn't a celebration. It was a setup. The laughter hadn't even died down when my mom chimed in from her table, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "Oh, Emily, don't forget to mention, she's a used product." More laughter. Sharper. Crueler. My heart felt like it dropped straight through the floor. Dad leaned back in his chair, covering his mouth with his hand, pretending to stay polite, but his shoulders were shaking with suppressed chuckles. He didn't even try to hide it from me. Their daughter, the one who needed them the most, was nothing but the punchline of their favorite family joke. People whispered. Some snickered. A few avoided looking at me altogether, embarrassed on my behalf. I sat frozen, my son gripping my arm like he wasn't sure if I might fall apart or run out of the room. And for a moment, I wasn't sure either. Emily tossed her hair and continued speaking like nothing was wrong. "You all know my sister is. Well, she's made some choices. But hey, she tries her best." Each word felt like another slap, another reminder of years spent being compared, criticized, and quietly discarded. Memories flashed. Childhood arguments where I was always blamed, teenage accomplishments brushed aside so Emily could shine, holidays where I was treated like an obligation. Now here I was again, a grown woman with a child of my own, still being treated like the family embarrassment. Emily raised her glass, smiling proudly. To my sister, who somehow survived without a man. The room laughed again. And this time, I felt something break inside me. The laughter was still echoing when a chair scraped loudly across the floor. Emily's groom, Daniel, stood up so suddenly that half the guests jumped. His jaw was clenched, eyes burning with something that was definitely not amusement. He walked toward Emily slowly, deliberately, like every step was a warning. "Emily," he said into the microphone, "that's enough." The room fell silent. Emily blinked, confused. "Babe, relax. It's just a joke." "A joke?" Daniel repeated, voice low. "Humiliating your sister, the woman who raised a child alone, who came here to support you, is a joke." Emily forced a laugh, looking around for approval. "It's fine. She's used to it." My breath caught. He stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time, and not liking what he saw. "I told you," he continued, his voice shaking with anger, "that I would not tolerate cruelty at our wedding. I warned you." Dad shifted uncomfortably. Mom crossed her arms, offended that anyone dared defend me. Guests whispered behind their hands. Emily's smile faltered. "Daniel, stop. You're embarrassing me." "No," he said firmly. "You embarrassed yourself." The room buzzed with shock. Emily's face flushed bright red, And for the first time that day, she had no witty comeback.
Daniel turned to the guests. I'm sorry you all had to witness that. But someone needs to say what's right.
Then he looked directly at me. Really looked, like he saw the pain I'd tried to swallow all evening.
You deserve better, he said quietly.
Much better.
And the entire room held its breath.
Emily's face was already red, but when Daniel turned back to the microphone, she went pale, like she suddenly knew what was coming. There's something all of you should know, Daniel said, scanning the room. This isn't the first time Emily has tried to humiliate her sister.
A stunned murmur rose from the guests. Emily grabbed his arm. Daniel, stop.
This isn't the time.
He gently pulled away. No, Emily.
The time was before you chose to attack her in front of hundreds of people.
He reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his phone.
Your sister isn't the problem, he said. You are. Mom gasped loudly, as if Daniel had slapped her personally. Dad shifted in his seat, looking uncomfortable but not remorseful. Daniel projected a screenshot onto the venue's display screen. A message thread.
Hateful messages sent to my workplace. Pretending to be upset customers.
Complaining about my incompetence and unprofessional behavior. Every message sent from an anonymous email, traced back to Emily.
Guests gasped. Some covered their mouths.
Emily whispered, Daniel, please don't do this.
But he wasn't finished.
Another screenshot appeared. This time, Emily messaging friends, mocking my son, calling him the accident she never learns from.
My vision blurred. I felt my son stiffen beside me.
Daniel spoke calmly, but his voice carried across the room like thunder. This is who you're defending, he told Emily's parents. This is what you call just jokes.
Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable.
The entire wedding had shifted. And for the first time ever, the truth was finally on my side.
For a moment, I couldn't breathe.
The room, the lights, the whispers, they all blurred together. My hands shook, my son clutched my sleeve, and for the first time in years, every buried emotion rose to the surface. I stood up.
Chairs shifted. Heads turned.
Even Emily stopped crying long enough to stare. I walked slowly toward the front, toward the same microphone my sister had used to tear me down. But when I held it, my voice didn't shake. I wasn't going to say anything today, I began. I came here to support my sister. I came because I believed family meant something, even when it hurt.
Mom scoffed. Dad rolled his eyes. But I kept going.
For years, I've been the one you all laughed at.
The one you compared. The one you dismissed. But you know what? I survived. I raised a beautiful child alone. I worked every job I could.
I built a life without hurting anyone.
Some guests nodded.
Others lowered their eyes, ashamed.
I turned to Emily.
You call me unwanted, but I've never needed validation from people who enjoy breaking others. Every time you mocked me, every time you sabotaged me, I stayed silent because I still hoped you'd change. Emily's mascara streaked down her face. I didn't mean. You meant every word, I said gently. And I finally accept who you are.
I faced the crowd.
And I'm done apologizing for existing.
Someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room.
For the first time in my life, people were finally hearing me. The applause still echoed through the hall when Daniel stepped forward again, his expression resolute. Emily reached for him, desperate, but he moved his hand away. Emily, he said softly, I can't marry someone who finds joy in hurting others, especially her.
He pointed toward me.
A collective gasp rippled through the room. No, Daniel, please, Emily cried.
This is our wedding.
Don't do this here.
He shook his head.
The woman I thought I loved doesn't exist. And I won't start a marriage built on cruelty. Then, in front of everyone, Daniel removed his wedding ring, placed it on the table, and walked out of the venue without looking back. Emily collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Mom rushed to her, glaring at me as if I had ruined the wedding. Dad muttered, unbelievable, she can't even let her sister have one moment. But this time, the guests didn't stay quiet. Are you serious? One woman snapped at my mom.
Your daughter humiliated her, another added.
You should be ashamed.
For once, the room didn't take their side.
I took my son's hand and walked toward the exit. Each step felt lighter, freer, like I was leaving years of pain behind me. As we reached the door, someone gently touched my arm.
Daniel.
I'm sorry for everything you went through, he
he said quietly. You deserved better from all of them.
You still do. I nodded, grateful, not for his apology, but for the truth being finally spoken. Outside, the air felt warm.
Clean. Like a new beginning. I wasn't unwanted.
I was finally free.